Sorry, my dog's barking. Hello, hello. So I am going to show how, if you're the first time ever, I'm talking people who have never even held a crochet hook before, or just basically very, very beginning. So that's what this is. I'm going to show the different types of crochet grips, how to hold your yarn, and how to use your hook the best way, and I will show you how to do a slip knot, a chain, and single crochet. Okay, so um, basically, if you are a left-handed person, I do have videos. I have a collection of tutorials in my playlist, which I will put the link to the playlist at the end of this video. But go to my homepage and look for craft tutorial videos playlist, and there are left-handed tutorials in there. But basically, your working hand, if you're right-handed, you're going to hold the hook with your right hand. If you're left-handed, then you will hold the hook in your left hand. And the non-working hand is going to be the hand that holds the string and controls the holding of the yarn while you're working your hook for the stitches. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, well, I want to show the different grips. And you'll get, once you get brain memory of, doing the same repetitive movement, you'll kind of figure out which way specifically that you're more comfortable in holding the hook in the yarn. But just so you know, there's a couple of grips. It's called, this is like the knife grip. The knife grip. I'm trying to do it backwards. And some people hold it like that. And then there's the pencil grip, which is just kind of a combination of, okay, and it's a little bit looser of a grip. Okay, so you're going to take this yarn and we're going to do a slip knot. Is how we're going to start this chain. So basically you kind of create, it looks kind of like a fish. Okay, and it's kind of awkward because I'm trying to do this backwards. Whoop. All right, so you have this fish look. So that's a little too much. All right, so you have this. Hang on just a second. All right, so you kind of have a fish, right? Kind of like cross this over. All right, I'm going to show it here from the top view. Okay, so you see what I'm doing here. All right. Okay, so you're going to take, this string here, and you're going to go. I'm gonna hang on. I'm gonna have to turn. Whoop, losing my hook here. I apologize. I am just not set up right for this. This is not working. Okay, I gotta here. Put this stand over here. Well, hang on, bear with me, guys. I do apologize. Where's my little thingy? Okay, so here we go. Okay. All right. This is just not gonna work. Oh my word. go around and through. See? Ta-da! That's the slip knot. I'm going to do it again. Go behind, that finger in there, come up. Okay, there's your slip knot. All right. Okay. Now, here. Hopefully you try to get it as close up as possible so you can see what it is I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to choke up on this. We're going to make this small. Just pulling up on that tail there. Okay, so this is your tail. Okay, that's your tail. This is your first chain that you're going to work from. Now, I'm going to show you how to hold your index finger of your non-working hand is going to hold the yarn. And then you're going to take your middle finger and your thumb, you're going to place that on that knot. And you're going to, that's how you're going to hold that. But first you're going to take this like so. So you have this wrapped around your index finger and kind of under here in between your index and your middle finger. Okay, and so that's just how you hold the yarn while you, oh, take that back. I got that backwards. Okay. Put your, I'm sorry about my dog. The hook through the loop. Now, the yarn is on the left, and you got this tail down here in the middle. Okay, and you got this yarn here. Your index finger. Now you may get comfortable, decide your own way of holding it just for the beginning purposes. Okay, make sure this index finger stays away. So when you're first trying to figure out how to hold everything, you don't get it confused. So middle finger and thumb holds this. This is not. So that way this loop is not going to be tight and you can't get the yarn through it. So you kind of want to have, see how this loop is? You kind of want to have some space right there. So you take your thumb and your middle finger right there, and you just kind of hold that down. It's controlling where that goes. So have your index finger like so. Okay, now you're ready to go. Now, the movement's not going to be with your wrist. You want to do this. Take your finger, your index finger or your middle finger. That's all the movement's going to be in the hook, not your wrist, not your hands, all this. So once you figure out what each hand and finger is supposed to be doing, then you'll be ready to go. So just make sure thumb, middle finger, thumb holding down this knot. This finger's kind of holding this down, and you can kind of use your pinkies to hold this down so it doesn't like pull up on you. Okay, but you don't want it, too tight. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, you've got this hook facing up, right? You're going to go down, down, just like all in the hook. Just let the hook do the work. Down and wrap around. So this is what it should look like. That's what's called wrap around. Now you're going to take this on that hook, and as you can see, I'm kind of turning my hook a little bit, and you're going to take it and pull it through that loop like so. And that, you kind of pull up just a little bit when you come up through. That is your first chain. Now notice I have my thumb and my middle finger still holding that. Now after I do a couple more chains, I'm going to do what's called choking up. If you've ever played baseball, choke up on the bat, so that you're keeping control of that tension. See? Okay, so I'm going to go back down with the hook. Notice no, not right now, Melody. Not right now. My dog's demanding my attention. Okay, so this hook facing up, then I kind of go down with it, wrap around. Notice my fingers and my thumb and my index finger have hardly moved at all. And remember, this has got enough looseness. You don't want it tight. You want it loose so you have some space in that loop. See, there's space in this loop right here. There's space. See that? It's nice and open to bring that yarn through. So you're kind of keeping this loop up a little bit so it doesn't like choke up and then it's just too tight. You do not want that loop tight. You want it to be loose. So this is why it's important to have control on how you're holding this with your non-working hand. Okay, so you go down, wrap around, and bring that through that loop. Ta-da! And that is your next chain. Choke up. Okay, so as you see, again, I have nice space under there. Kind of think of like a needle, like the eye of a needle, you know. So keep it not too loose, but not too tight. Now, if this comes a little bit loose over here, just choke up on that a little bit. Okay. So remember, index finger holds the yarn, thumb and middle finger holds that knot right there. Wrap around and go through. And that is a chain. And so you do that, oh, let's say just for practicing of, you know, a row, maybe anywhere from 10 to 15. You're just going to do a little section to practice tension. Now this is acrylic yarn, so it may, you know, sometimes it separates, especially if this is used yarn, it's old yarn. So acrylic yarn does have tendency to separate sometimes. Okay, so now you have this chain. That's plenty enough to do a little section. So now I'm going to show you how to start a single crochet. Okay, so you're going to see that this chain here, that this loop is coming out of, you don't want to go into that one. You're going to go into the next chain that doesn't have any connection to this hook. Okay, so you're going to go down through the hole with your hook. Then you're going to take this. Remember, I'm still holding this here, thumb and middle finger, and this is on my index finger. And I've got the tail coming through in between my index finger and my middle finger, kind of squeezing it just a little bit. Okay, so you wrap around and bring up through that hole. Now you kind of pull it up a little bit so that it's kind of even with the first loop. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. So now you're going to come up with your middle finger and your thumb just a little bit to choke that up, to kind of control that, so keeping the stitches even. You're going to go down, wrap around, and bring it through those 2 loops. And notice the hook is moving, not my wrist and my hands very much, just the hook. It's all about the hook. That is your first single crochet. Now we're going to go down into the next chain, wrap around, come back up, and you have again 2 on the hook. You're going to wrap around and go through. And that is basically your single crochet, and you just repeat that till you get the end of your row. And then I'm going to show you, I'm just going to go a little bit faster just for purposes of getting this row done. And I'm not going to make this a very long video. I just wanted to show the very basics of single crochet, the how to make a chain. And you know, with the single crochet stitch alone, there are so many things that you can do with the single crochet. And I would just say practice, you know, once you get this, oh, I'd say the first section or two, you'll have muscle memory, and you'll have the ability to do this with ease. And it may feel awkward at first, but I promise you, just do it, and it will just be like you can do it in your sleep. And it's very beneficial in helping you to relax. Um, you just get past the part of learning. And so I have completed my last stitch of the row. Now, once you do your last stitch of the row, you're going to do what's called adding a chain. So add a chain. And the reason that is that's your next stitch. That's your first stitch for the next row. So we work right to left, okay, unless you're left-handed, then it's opposite. And so everything, this row is on the right. So you're just going to do what's called turn your work and flip it to the left. Now your row is to the left. And the reason is because you're now going to start another row going from right to left. Okay, so now you're going to find your first stitch. Now this stitch here that's connected to what's on the hook is not going to be your first stitch. So this very first stitch here, that first single crochet, you're going to go down in through that hole, and you're going to wrap around, and you're going to come up through that hole. And again, when you come up through, you just pull up on that just a tiny bit so that it's even with the size of this loop. So you have 2 loops on the hook. Now you're going to wrap around and go through those 2 loops. Remember, this is how nice and loose. And you know, it's kind of important to keep your wrist. I know it's kind of awkward the way I'm sitting right now. It should be at my table. And because if you do crochet for long periods of time, you can get carpal tunnel. So, you know, keeping everything tight is just not really good for your muscles or your tendons. So it's kind of important to keep a relaxed grip. Okay, but remember, your fingers do all the control here. So here we are going into the next chain. I'm trying to go up here close so you see what I'm doing. So this chain that's on the hook, that is not going to be part. So it's this next hole here, next stitch, go down through that, wrap around, come, whoop, you see it's separating. This is some old funky yarn, so I apologize. Go down, wrap around, bring up through that. You have 2 loops on the hook, wrap around, and go through. And that's your single crochet. And you just go across, add a chain, turn your work, and repeat to whatever size you want. And you can make, I probably think the easiest thing that you can make is just a square. So maybe, I don't know, 20 chains, and then just do this until you have a square. And there's so many things you can make with just one stitch. But anyways, I have other stitches on my channel, and I have once you learn single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, and then half double crochet. Those are the most common stitches that are used in thousands and thousands and thousands of patterns. There are many stitches, I mean books of stitches. But really and truly, all you need to know is one stitch, and you can do many things with that. And then the basic 3 stitches, single, double, triple, there's so many things you can do with that. And so, yeah. So 4 basic stitches, single, double, triple, and half double crochet. But to start, just practice holding it, and it may, your tension of your stitches may be a little uneven when you first start. Don't be frustrated. That's actually very common. And it's just a matter of muscle memory. Once you get used to that, and you'll be surprised just how quick you'll be like, it is just so natural. And you can literally sit there watching movies and doing it without thinking. I promise you, once you get past the first, you know, whatever. So let me know if this was helpful. If you have any issues whatsoever, please just let me know. And appreciate you stopping in, and I hope you have a blessed one. Bye.